Most Americans have approached the response to the coronavirus in good faith. They want to protect themselves and their neighbors and their families, and they trust our political leaders to make wise decisions based in science. And yet, a lot of the lockdown rules don't seem to be based in science. Some of them seem to be made up on the spot with very little consistency and no explanation. Chief Breaking News correspondent Trace Gallagher has an overview. Hey, Trace.
Hey, Tucker, for the record, we still don't know the science and data behind closing the beaches, and now the reopening of beaches comes with a list of baffling rules and regulations, still no science. For example, in Ocean City, New Jersey, you can run on the beach, walk across the beach to get to the water, but you cannot sit on the beach. Not in a chair, not on a towel. You got to keep moving unless you're fishing, and then you can stand there. Same goes for here in Los Angeles County. When beaches open this week, you got to walk or run, but the pathways built along the beach for walking and running are still shut down. Remember in Michigan when Governor Gretchen Whitmer banned all power boats? Well, you'll be happy to know that in Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker is allowing power boats with no more than 2 people, regardless of boat size. So if you happen to have more than 2 people in your family, apparently somebody's not going boating. Watch.
It is restricted to 2 people per boat. It's not, you can't have 5 people or 10 people in a boat.
So if it is a family of 4 or 5, like husband, wife, and kids, they're going to have to pick 2 of them at a time.
They would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In California, parks are beginning to reopen, and you are allowed to sit and sunbathe as long as you're 6 feet apart. You are not allowed to stand 75 feet apart and play tennis. Finally, we should note New York City prosecutors now say they will not prosecute people arrested for social distancing violation. That means DAs are now joining police unions protesting what they call Mayor Bill de Blasio's punitive approach to a public health crisis. Tucker.
Amazing. Trace Gallagher, thanks a lot for that.
Yep.
So that's what some lockdowns look like around the country. Sometimes the rules seem arbitrary. Some of them seem corrupt. Others seem designed to hurt people. They seem cruel. A lot of them don't seem scientific in any way. But even for the more coherent lockdown policies, you've got to ask the question, is it worth it? New coronavirus cases and deaths from coronavirus have been trending downward for more than a month. Our hospitals are not overwhelmed. Outside of New York, they never were. Places that have reopened and those that never shut down, like Sweden, show no signs of collapse. What is our basis, then, for keeping children out of schools, parents out of work, and people who are at almost no risk at all terrified out of their minds, and many are? We've asked that question repeatedly on this show because it doesn't seem like our leaders are asking that question. They seem oblivious to the medical calamities, for example, these lockdowns are causing across the country. Here's just one example. In Franklin County, Ohio, drug overdose deaths this year are up 50% over a year ago. Deaths. Many other counties are reporting similar trends. A report by IQVIA, a health analytics company, estimates that 80,000 cancer diagnoses have been missed in this country thanks to delayed medical care. 80,000. What will be the outcomes there? Calls to the Federal Emotional Support Hotline have surged 1,000%. And then, of course, and this is secondary, but there is the economic damage which will reverberate for decades. 30 million Americans, more actually, have lost their jobs so far. Maybe the federal government will print off money to hand it to them, but that's not a real solution. Handouts cannot replace the purpose and the dignity that come from having a job. And by the way, who's going to pay for this? What will happen to the debt? Who's going to bail us out? You know the answer. China. They'll be the creditor because they're the only people who can afford it. Lawmakers and bureaucrats may be oblivious to all of this, but people like Shelley Luther are not. Luther owns a hair salon in Dallas, Texas. Last week, she reopened her salon so that her employees could earn a living. That was in defiance of a shutdown order. She was arrested for that. She was given a stern lecture by a judge with a secure 6-figure income and then thrown behind bars. Thankfully, she was soon released. We're happy to have her on.